good morning to you. Alright, this is the Congress. I'm officially welcoming you to the Congress, the interactive segment of Premium Morning Cruise this morning, where we talk about topical issues that has to do with me and you, and then we get to find the solutions for them. Alright, and we're talking about the issue of quit notice and landlord-tenant dispute. The issue of quit notice and landlord-tenant dispute. Alright, you must agree with me, this is something that is really going on, and we're not paying so much attention to that. And this morning, to talk to you, we have in the house Ifiok Udoma Esq. He is a human rights activist and constitutional lawyer. He is the immediate past chairman of the NBA Young Lawyers Forum, Uyo branch, and currently the legal advisor, NBA Uyo branch. He is a core legislation lawyer and the head of chambers in Solution Chambers, the law firm of Sonyu Co. and Associates. Welcome, Barrister Ifiok Udoma.
Thank you so much. Good morning. It's nice to be here.
Alright, my name is Rachel David White. Well, let's go into the business of the day. I will implore you to draw closer to your radio set, whatever you're listening to, your listening device, whatever you're using to listen to us, just draw closer, because this topic has a lot to do with me and you. Even if you're staying in your own house, you could help someone who are staying in someone's house. Let them know their right as tenants and as landlords. Alright, so Barrister, there are so many issues of some landlords being over greedy when they see the tenants are progressing, and of course even some tenants being greedy as well. But today let's start from the major places. Landlords-tenants issue in Nigeria is one of the most commonly known informal tussles that requires a formal approach actually to solve that particular issue. What is the position of the law regarding tenancy? Let's start from there.
Yeah, tenancy is a contractual relationship. I think the problem we have in our society right now is that landlord, tenants, they get into this relationship without first seeking legal advice.
Okay.
You know, issues like this are governed by law. The problem you see is when they have issues that they go to lawyers. Rather, it's safer to see a lawyer before you embark on this. So landlord-tenant relationship is a contractual relationship between a man, that's the owner of the property, that's the landlord, and the tenant moving into the property to stay with. This relationship is governed by law, is contractual, is an agreement. So the right of the landlord and the duties of the landlord are therein in the agreement, as well as the rights and the obligations of the tenant. So it's entirely governed by law.
Alright, if it's entirely governed by law, and these laws, are they well spelled out?
Very well. Like in AKWA, we have the recovery of premises law.
Alright.
This is the law that governs tenancy.
Alright, just a moment. We're really going deep into that, because this issue needs to be it needs to be dissected well.
All
so
right.
we need to take our time. Alright, you've talked about existing laws. If there are laws, why do you think this is still prevalent? This issue is still trending, still happening?
Why we're having these issues in the society is that tenants, would-be tenants, and even landlords, when you build your property, you do not seek the services or the advice of a lawyer. Right now, as lawyers, we pretend over a lot of tenancies. So the first thing a landlord should do is to approach a lawyer. I have an apartment that I want to rent out. I need your advice. Upon that, the lawyer advises you as to what kind of tenancy you should contract with your tenant, so that you won't have issues as to when you want to evict your tenant, or maybe you need your property for your personal use.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get to find out these laws now.
Okay, we have a recovery of premises. The
Okay.
The tenancy law of AKWA, so that's the recovery of premises law. Now,
Right.
but before that, what you should know, before the law even comes into effect, majorly, tenancy is a contractual relationship. It is advisable that parties, the landlord and the tenant, should contract, should agree. That is to say, the landlord has to produce a tenancy agreement to govern the tenancy relationship between him and the tenant. It is that agreement that is going to spell out the kind of tenancy that the tenant is contracting. So it's safer when you have an express agreement between the parties, because we have different kinds of tenancy. Today you see a landlord that wakes up in the morning and unlocks up the tenant's apartment, maybe because he didn't pay rent. Or I don't want you to stay in my property again, I want to make use of it. Leave in the next 1 week or in the next 1 month. This would have been spelled out in tenancy agreements.
All right, you've talked about the law of the recovery of premises.
Yes.
Is there any other law?
That is the major law.
All right, that's the major law.
Yes.
Now let's go into the rights of tenants and even the rights of landlords. What are the rights of tenants and landlords? Let's start with the landlord.
The landlord, you're the owner of the property.
Okay.
It is your right to give out your property in rent, to rent out the property. So when you rent out the property, what accrues to you is your rent. You're entitled to the rent. You're entitled to peaceful possession of your property at the expiration of the rent. Though that has to be in line with the law by issuing statutory notices to your tenants. The tenant has the exclusive right to enjoy the demised property as per the period of the rent, without the landlord going to disturb him, apart from other times that may be contained in the tenancy agreement, maybe periodic check, inspection of the property to ensure that same is kept in tenantable condition. So, but majorly the rights of a tenant and that of the landlord will be spelled out in the tenancy agreement. That's why we advise people to ensure you approach a lawyer to give you legal advice and assist you in contracting tenancy, so that the rights of the landlord, the right of the tenant will be spelled out in an agreement we call tenancy agreement. Both parties will sign it and it becomes effective.
All right, how about the tenants?
The tenant, when you approach a landlord for the purpose of tenancy, ask, do you have a tenancy agreement? Where the landlord says, oh, your rent is so amount of money, ask, do you have a tenancy agreement that upon your payment of your rent, before you even pay the rent, you should see the tenancy agreement, so that you know when the landlord can eject you. The issue of increment of rent, what are the modalities? Can the landlord just in the morning and tell you, okay, my rent is 100,000, I want to make it 200,000? The tenant has a right to demand from the landlord tenancy agreement, so that if you are not in agreement with the terms therein, you can negotiate. So it is the right of the tenant to know the modalities of the rent. It's also the right of the tenant upon the agreement, the tenancy agreement, because I can't really list them out. It's contractual, so it's based on what is agreed. But majorly, in a rented apartment, the tenant has exclusive possession of that apartment during the time of the rent without being disturbed. But every other thing will be factored in the tenancy agreement.
All right, so I wanted to ask, if you've told me that the tenant has exclusive rights in that apartment that he has paid for. So does it mean that at that time the landlord cannot go into that particular apartment at will?
Your landlord cannot enter your apartment without your permission. If he does that, that is trespass. Okay. It's actionable.
All right, so it's now the tenant's property.
Is the tenant's property to the extent that he is a tenant but not the owner. So that is to say, if a rent is for 1 year, for the period of 1 year, the tenant stays in that apartment without being disturbed by the landlord. If the landlord wants to go into the apartment, he has to seek the consent of the tenant because it's not supposed to be disturbed. That does not go to say that the tenant exercises ownership right over the property is possession. What the tenant enjoys is possession.
Okay, all right, you've told us already that there is a law in AKWA that covers that, but who is responsible, or whose responsibility is it to inundate this to the public? Because it seems this is not happening. We're having these issues daily.
Well, we have a lot of laws in the land, a whole lot of them. The government has a duty to educate citizens of the laws that we have. As a matter of fact, there are even some laws that even as lawyers we don't even know, we even look for them. But as
why is that so?
Like right now, I don't want to go out of context. I don't want to go out of the. We have government that they enact laws today. Maybe you're fortunate to listen to the news that so bill was passed and it has been assented, but you cannot even find it. But as it affects tenancy, I think the government has a duty, by way of citizen education, to go on air and sensitize the public. But majorly, tenancy is a business. So my advice to landlords is that if you are sure that the amount you use in investing to have your property is something you can close your eyes and walk away from, then you can just let anybody into the house as a tenant. If the money is such that you sweat and you know it was valuable, then you need to approach a lawyer to get legal advice as to how to go about your tenancy business. So you have to look at it in that direction. It's a tenancy business.
All right, well, just a minute before we go on and on and on again. All right, if you're just joining us this morning, then this is the Congress, and today we're talking about the issue of quit notice and, of course, landlord and tenant dispute here on the Congress this morning. And we have a barrister in the house to talk to us this morning, Barrister Ifiok Udoma. All right, Ifiok Udoma, I'm sorry about that. All right, so you can be you can be part of this conversation by calling us via our phone lines 0904 1234 899 and of course 0912 899. I'll take that again, 0904 1234 899 and 0912 899. Now, in a case where a landlord has not given the tenant an adequate eviction notice, is that valid? Maybe has not given enough time.
It's not valid. It's not valid because when you go to section, I think section 15 of the Rent Control and Recovery of Premises Law, length of notices as per the kind of tenancy contracted is spelled out. So where a landlord issues a defective notice or a notice that is not adequate to a tenant, that is not valid in law, at the end of the day, you're just wasting your time. So that's why we advise landlords, before you issue a notice, like a quick notice to your tenant, consult a legal practitioner for legal advice. Upon that, you will be told what kind of notice to give to a yearly tenant, a monthly tenant, a tenant at will, a quarterly tenant. These are different kinds of tenancy.
All right, so maybe you should have taken your time to explain that to us. You know, the yearly, the quarterly, and the monthly.
Let me just throw a little light on it. You know, things like this are very technical for lawyers.
All right.
Where you contract a yearly tenancy, the landlord cannot wake up and issue you a 1 week, a 1 month notice to quit, except it was expressly stated in your tenancy agreement that though it's a yearly tenancy,
at any time,
that this will be the length of notice due when you're going to be evicted.
All right.
Other than that, a yearly tenant is entitled to 6 months length of notice. It has to be 6 months. If it's a day less than 6 months, it's defective in law, and the landlord is going to lose.
All right, thank you so much. Now let's try to spell out the reasons or the main points why this tenancy and landlord issues do happen What do you think is the major causes, are the major causes of these things? The reason why they get to disagree?
I think one of the major reasons is that, from my experience, rent is supposed to be, tenancy rather, is supposed to be governed by a tenancy agreement, because tenancy in itself is a contract.
Okay.
But you realize that landlords and tenants contract without expressly agreeing. A landlord gives out his property on rent, let's say for 1 year, without any agreement. Some of them even without evidence of payment of rent. Thereafter, you want to now make use of your property. You now say your tenant should leave. At that point, your tenant approaches a lawyer. So the lawyer begins to look at the rights of the tenant. Number one, that the landlord cannot evict this tenant in 1 month notice. So the major problem is that citizens do not make use of legal practitioners or legal opinion. That's why they go into all these problems. We have some of them that even before they let you into the house, they seek legal advice, they seek legal opinion. So they don't get to sweat. The lawyer do the sweating for them. So my advice to the public is that before you give out your house to a tenant, please go to the nearest law office, consult a legal practitioner, and be advised. Else, as a landlord, you will sweat. I've had a cause to have a landlord detained because he locked up the tenant's
properties?
Yes. Now that is an offense under the Rent Control and Recovery of Premises Law of AKWA Ibom State. The landlord has no right, even when the tenant has not paid, he has no right to lock up the property. Even when the court orders that the tenant should vacate, the landlord has no right to forcefully eject. It is the court belief that will enforce that court ruling. So that's why we advise them, seek legal opinion.
All right, thank you so much. Just in case you're joining us and you want to be part of this conversation, you can call it the phone line 0904 1234899 and 0912 0000 Now, what should a tenant do if a tenant does not vacate a property after being served with quick notice, or what should a landlord do rather? Just before we take that question, let me take a call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning.
This is man calling from Oluwala.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Please, I provided the lawyer saying 6 months for yearly tenancy. That what is happening in a shop, not in a living apartment. Will it be that 6 months?
Okay. Thank you. Whether it's an apartment, in a shop, a church, whatever property is being given to you under tenancy, and it's a yearly tenancy, you are entitled to 6 months quick notice. It shouldn't be less than that, except it was expressly agreed by both parties. It should be less than that.
All right, hello, good morning.
Morning, calling back.
All right, go ahead.
You did mention that for a tenant to vacate, a tenant that has used an apartment for a year, the notice shouldn't be less than 6 months. Now, I'm asking in a shop apartment, and a tenant has occupied that particular apartment for like 3 to 4 years. With the quick notice or with the notice of vacation, it is 6 months, or it can be more than 6 months. Thank you.
Okay, when a tenant occupies an apartment for more than 1 year, maybe up to 4 years or more, that's yearly tenancy. So the fact that the first year has lapsed and you've gone into the second year, it still means it's a yearly tenancy and you're still entitled to 6 months quick notice.
All right, nothing less.
Yes.
Okay, 0904 1234899 and 0912 0000 Now there's a situation where some tenants just decide to be disobedient a bit or prove a bit stubborn or strong, that the landlord issues an eviction notice, a quit notice, even per before 6 months, like you said, and then the time has elapsed and the tenant just refuses to leave. Some of them even lock up their properties in the house and travel. At that point, what does the landlord do?
Beautiful. When a landlord has complied with the provision of the law by issuing the necessary statutory notice to the tenant, and the tenant decides to ignore or maybe lock up his belongings in the property and travel, approach a lawyer.
All right, just a minute, you throw more light on that.
Here is an amazing offer you cannot afford to turn down. Your preferred station, Premium 89.9 FM, is out with a special bonanza. Pay for 3 slots of ads and get 1 free. Pay for 5 and you get 2 free. It's that simple. The more slots you pay for, the more free slot you gain. Visit our station, Premium 89.9 FM, ABAK, AKWA State, or call our marketing hotlines on 0706 1765284 or 0912 4898994. Our offer lasts while it can. Premium 89.9 FM, your preferred station. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, go ahead.
So I was saying, you approach a lawyer and you go to bed and sleep. Let the lawyer
Fight your battle.
seriously, because at the end of the day you are going to smile, because the tenant that locked up his property in the demise premises, at the end of the day, with the right legal steps, he will have to go to court and pick his belonging, because the lawyer is going to ensure that he hands over the demise premises to the landlord.
Okay.
So where you find yourself in that situation, just consult a lawyer. After the quick notice might have been issued, the lawyer will follow it up with the owner's intention to recover possession, and thereafter will file a plaint. You just relax, because the court is going to issue an order directing that the property in that house be removed and deposited in the court. You have your property back, rather than take laws into your hands by forcefully ejecting your tenant. You may find yourself in custody.
All right, thank you so much for addressing that issue. Now, there's another pressing issue that happens almost every time. A tenant rents an apartment and decides to bring in another person. Just a moment, let's take a call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, thanks for joining us on the Congress.
Yeah, good morning, Barrister.
Good morning. Nice to hear you call.
Yeah, I love your program. You're really educated here. This is a person from Ifiok State. I have a question to ask you. I am Francis.
Go ahead.
Back me. There are some languages and landlords around here. They increase rent without your house not yet expire. Like when we still have 4 months to December, and landlord can walk up to you and say, by next year he has increased your rent. In that situation, I want to appeal you, educate me as a tenant, what will that tenant do? And only the landlord, when you say, even if I've stayed there for more than 3 years, if she wants to eject tenant out, she just walk up to the tenant, want to break the door, want to move the tenant property outside, and I'm living in a flat, and I see this kind of thing. It has been a culture here. So I want you to educate me on a situation like this. She does not give a quick notice to tenant. She doesn't want to eject you out in the house. And I want to ask, if quick notice is being given, would the tenant pay, or will it be recorded to another additional fee? I want you to educate me. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Well, go ahead, Barrister.
Yeah, where a landlord cannot wake up from a bad side of his bed and decide to increase your rent. Tenancy is a contractual relationship. To that extent, it has to be an agreement between two parties, which is the landlord and the tenant. So at the inception of the tenancy, the rent must have been agreed. Where the landlord decides to increase the rent, it has to be placed on the table for both parties to agree. Oh, I want to increase my rent to so amount. And when negotiation is still going on, it cannot be said that the rent was increased.
Now, what if Okay, what if the tenant says, I don't agree to you increasing your rents at all. I do not agree, it's not favorable. And the landlord says, you have to leave.
Yes. Where the tenant is saying, no, for whatever reason, you cannot increase your rent. Now you have to remember it's a business. So that's to say that the landlord has an option to say, okay, I'm sorry, since I cannot review my rents, then at the expiration of your tenancy, get ready for the right notice. So the landlord has to comply with the provision of the law to issue the tenant with the right notice. One of the reasons for the notice would be failure to agree as to rent review. But the landlord must go under the right notice to quit. Because at that point, you cannot compel your tenant to stay. The tenant cannot also compel the landlord to remain on the existing rent. Where both parties cannot agree, that means the relationship has broken down. So at that point, the tenant should know that he is liable to a quick notice.
All right, so this is another question. Is there a particular, to what percentage should the landlord increase the money to? For example, the tenant was paying 150,000 naira for maybe just the flat, and the landlord walks up and say, let's talk. I want to increase it to 250.
That's over 100%. That's too much.
All right.
What we advise, we tell landlords, you can increase your rent, but it has to be in line with market value. If a one-bedroom apartment is 100,000 naira as per market value, it will not be reasonable for a landlord to increase his rent to 200,000 naira. If you make it 110,000 or 120,000, maybe because of certain fittings in the house or certain improvement, the tenant will also understand with you, because it's in line with market value. So our advice is always, let the increment of rent be in line with market value. And when it is in line with market value, your tenant won't have issues with you.
All right, now let's get back to solve that particular issue. Well, if you want to call in to join the conversation, you can call us on 0912-000-0899 and 0910-1234-899. We're talking about quit notice and landlord and tenant dispute. That's the issue we're talking about this morning. All right, hello, good morning. Good morning, thanks for joining us on the Congress. Please move away from your radio set so we can converse easily. All right, call us back. Okay, so the issue we're talking about is some persons, you've rented an apartment, you've given them an apartment, and then while they were trying to rent the apartment, they told you they're going to stay alone. And the next thing, not their spouses or anything, you find their friends, and the next day you come back, they're up to 3 or 4. Just a minute. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, good morning. Thanks for joining us on the Congress.
Yeah, my name is Charles from Oyo.
All right, Charles, calling again. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask about the topics that they are saying now. There is something that is happening. I collect a shop from my landlord, and I hold him. Then, after 1 year, I tell him that I have a small problem, and I want him to help me. I will give him the money. Then later, he now go and report to a lawyer. The lawyer now called me, and I went there. I discussed with him. We keep the day that I will pay him the month. And his son go to my shop and lock my shop when I go outside work. All the generator outside and everything, he lock it. He used my key and lock. I didn't see my part key, and I didn't see my money inside the shop.
Okay, well, let's go ahead.
Okay.
Talk about this issue.
Let me respond to that two angles. Number one, if you're sure that your landlord locked your shop based on the advice of the lawyer, if you're very sure that the lawyer was involved in this, I'm the legal advisor of the MBA, get this across to us and we ensure that that lawyer is disciplined very, very strictly. Please, if you're sure that it's the lawyer that advised your landlord to lock up your shop, get it across to us. We'll ensure that it's disciplined. Number two, for your landlord to lock up your shop, maybe because you've not paid rent, you have a right to recover damages from your landlord. Apart from your landlord having committed an offense under the recovery of premises law of Akwa Ibom State, rent control law of Akwa Ibom State, you can get your landlord arrested, prosecuted. That is a criminal offense. However, you can also recover damages from your landlord that will be more than the rent that you're owing him. So get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. That man that just called, get a lawyer. The lawyer is going to brief you so that you can recover any landlord that locks up your property because you've not paid rent, as incurred damages.
All right, let's take another call. Hello, good morning. All right, 0904-123-4899 and 0912-0000899. Maybe while we're trying to wrap up the show, you're going to tell us where exactly someone can actually get to drop their reports.
Okay.
But in the meantime, let's talk about the issue of persons who bring in extra persons.
Okay.
And persons who also lease out their apartments. Sometimes someone rents an apartment and has a job outside and decides to, I can rent it to another person since I just paid for the house. Is it the right thing to do?
Okay. Where you rent a property, and there's express prohibition in your tenancy agreement not to sublet. Where you sublet, that is a breach of that terms. And because of that breach, you are liable to a quick notice.
Okay, just a minute. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
All right, good morning. Thanks for joining us on the Congress. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning. My name is Samuel. I'm calling from Ulo.
All right, Samuel, go ahead.
Okay. I want to ask a question. There's a quick question that I asked you. Some months later, my shop rent will expire maybe this year. Yes, already expired this year. But a month after the next one that I'm supposed to pay the house, my landlord come out and tell me that my house and my shop rent is increased. I said, okay, now that will be next payment. He said, no, I'm supposed to pay the same that period as he give me the notice. Now, this month, next month, my shop supposed to expire, but this month, it's going to give me notice that I'm supposed to pay the increase of amount that he put for my rent. I said, no, we argue, I report to his son and make a problem to me, say, either I pay or I pack out. So what will I do?
All right, thank you so much. Well, go ahead, Barrister.
If you probe the last caller, you realize there's no tenancy agreement in that tenancy. Because where there is tenancy agreement, the issue of rent review will be included to be one of the terms of the tenancy. So that your landlord cannot, at the point you want to renew your tenancy, just push it on you that the tenancy, the rent has been increased. I've said it before, increment of rent is a contractual issue because tenancy itself is a contractual issue. It has to be agreed by both parties.
Right. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, thanks for calling us.
My name is Akan. I'm calling from Akwa Ibom State.
All right, Akan, go ahead. What's your comment this morning?
First of all, I want to thank you guys for this beautiful topic, and I want to also appreciate the lawyer in the house.
All right, thank you too.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I've actually been a victim of this whole issue. Most times, the landlords are not even the key. The caretakers and the agents are always the problem. It's as bad as I was in court with my landlady for 1 year and 8 months. Seriously.
All right, what was the issue?
I paid rent, and as God will have it, I did a transfer of rent through my phone to her.
And the next thing, it wasn't up to 2 weeks, I got a court summons that I was asked to vacate the property. And I said I just paid my rent for 2 weeks ago. And she said, yes, I did. At first she denied, took me to court, and you know the process in court, trying to let the court know that I've actually paid my rent. I had to go to the bank, applied for statement of account, brought it to court, and by the mercies of God, the case was struck out. And I found out that because the landlady was not in the country, and the caretaker, wanting to get money from both occupants without her knowledge, decided to pull the strings. So I don't know if it's possible for landlords to definitely have an association where rent like this can be paid. You just can't stress somebody for a year and 8 months. I know what I passed through with my family, and it's very pathetic. Sometimes the cases are landlords who actually inherited properties from their folks or their husband, their late husband, or they are the ones that are very cruel. So yes.
All right, thank you so much. Let's address that issue right now.
I don't think the landlord association is going to solve that issue. What I would advise is get a lawyer, seek legal opinion. Because when you seek legal opinion, your lawyer will get you to know whether or not the said landlord even has rights to let out the said premises.
Not the landlord. He's talking about the agents. Actually, the landlord is outside the country and doesn't even have an idea about what's going on.
When you approach the lawyer, that's where the lawyer gets to tell you that the person demanding rent is not the owner of the property.
All right, so a lawyer has a way of knowing.
Yes, so we have to get to know, is there a power of attorney donated by the owner of the property to the said agent or caretaker to lease out the property. So that's why the services of a lawyer you can't do without.
All right, just one more call. Let's see if we can wrap up the show. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
All right, good morning. Thanks for joining us on the Congress. Your name and your location, please.
Yeah, it's still Charles again.
All right, Charles.
Yeah. Please, I want to talk about what my barrister is saying. He's not the lawyer that sent the man to come and lock the shop.
Okay.
The lawyer keep the date for us, for me to go and pay him. It is the son that go and lock the shop. Use my key and his key to the shop. And he did not get advice or any approval to his father. When the thing is happening, I now ask him, did you ask your father what was happening between me and the lawyer that he called me slowly? He said no. But now, the generator that someone gives to me to work is flawed inside that shop. So, I don't know. And now, all of them are now pleading me. I make a report in Ikoropanabia. I now make the report to the town police station. But I didn't arrest anybody for now. So I want the advice.
All right, thank you so much. Well, another thing, is it right to take such cases to the police rather than the court?
There are two ways.
Okay.
There's a criminal liability, there's a civil wrong there. If you take the issue to the police, the landlord will be arrested, will be investigated, he will be prosecuted, he could be sentenced, convicted and sentenced maybe to a jail term or with fine, and you're happy. Or, by way of civil action, you approach a lawyer, they institute a civil proceeding for you to claim damages. Because to lock up your gen, to lock up your property, maybe you're a business person, maybe for 1 week, for 2 weeks, maybe you would have made 100,000 naira doing business. He has to pay for that. He has to pay for a whole lot of things. So you have the option of approaching the police, or you see a lawyer to advise you on what step to take. But Charles, that just called, you have a right against your landlord in this case.
All right, thank you so much. So just take a few minutes to wrap up this. What would you have for the people? What would you say? What would you advise them to do? Both the landlords and the tenants, of course.
Let me start from the tenant. I would like to advise tenants that any landlord that has a property and gives out on rent is doing business. He has children, he has family. So do not contract any tenancy that you are not sure you'll be able to renew the tenancy. Don't put the landlord under stress. Maybe he has school fees to pay by September. So when you enter property, make sure that there is a tenancy agreement. And also to the landlords, before you embark on the tenancy business, please see a lawyer to advise you so that you don't get to have headaches as to ejecting tenants from the house or going about your tenancy business. Let the lawyer sweat for you.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
All right, this has been Barrister Ifiok Udoma. He's a human rights activist and constitutional lawyer. He is the immediate past chairman of the NBA Young Lawyers Forum, Uyo branch, and currently the legal advisor, NBA Uyo branch, a co-legislation officer and the head of chambers in Solution Chambers, the law firm of Songyuko and Associates. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, thank you to all our listeners out there, and thank you for your calls and contributions. Well, we cannot exhaust this issue. Maybe we'll have to bring it back again so we can see how we can exhaust this issue. Thank you so much. Well, this is the end of the Congress for this week. It comes up again next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But meanwhile, we have lots of packages in store for you, though. Do stay tuned and don't go anywhere. My name is Rachel David White.
Here is an amazing offer you cannot afford to turn down. Your preferred station, Premium 89.9 FM, is out with a special bonanza. Pay for 3 slots of ads and get 1 free. Pay for 5 and you get 2 free. It's that simple. The more slots you pay for, the more free slots you gain. Visit our station, Premium 89.9 FM, ABAK, AKWA State, or call our marketing hotlines on 0706 1765284 or 0912 4898994. Our offer lasts while it can. Premium 89.9 FM, your preferred station. Terms and conditions apply.